Today, Pfizer announcing its first quarter results. We take a look at what impact its COVID vaccine had on profits. Crypto gets more votes of confidence. A major index provider has launched new benchmarks tracking Bitcoin and other cryptos. And soon people can buy physical artwork with Bitcoin. And we take a look at the hottest entry-level remote jobs for new graduates this year. Which career categories are most promising? And much more, coming up on NTD Business. Good evening, great to have you with us. The S&P Dow Jones has launched a new series of indexes for cryptocurrencies. It could move digital currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum one step closer into the mainstream by bringing them to the trading floors of Wall Street. There are three new indexes, including the S&P Bitcoin Index, S&P Ethereum Index, and S&P Crypto Megacap Index that aims to track the performance of both coins. The company says the list will expand to include more coins later this year. Bitcoin has seen a wild rally in prices after backing from big companies like Tesla and Bank of New York Mellon. Its price, however, has come off record highs, but Ethereum, it touched an all-time high today, rising above $3,500 for the first time. And Sotheby's auction house says it will accept Bitcoin and Ethereum in a new art auction. It's the first for a physical art auction. It says bidding for the famous Banksy work is estimated at $3 million to $5 million, and the buyer will have the option to pay with crypto. The auction house has teamed up with crypto exchange Coinbase for the sale. And since crypto is known as volatile, to say the least, Coinbase says it would help manage price fluctuations during the auction in New York next week. And Pfizer's first quarter financials are out, and its COVID-19 vaccine has proven to be an extremely profitable investment. It accounted for over a quarter of its total revenues. NTD's Colin Fredrickson has the story.
Pfizer rakes in $3.5 billion in revenue from its CCP virus vaccine alone. That's almost a fourth of its entire first quarter revenue. They expect over 20% of that to be profit.
We can make, approximately 2.5 billion doses this year. We can take that up to 3 billion doses next year. And that's what we're really focused on, right? Getting those made, getting them delivered, and getting vaccines into patients' arms.
Second place goes to blood-thinning drug Eliquis, with worldwide revenues of $1.6 billion. And third goes to Prevnar 13, a children's vaccine that helps protect them from bacteria, at $1.3 billion. Pfizer expects the vaccine to continue bringing in revenue, with people getting second shots after the first. However, they haven't been very open on vaccine pricing. We know the U.S. pays almost $20 for each dose, but we have no idea what the EU pays.
I really want to not get into detail on pricing, other than obviously there's certain contracts where we disclose what the price is. In terms of the way I think about this, what we're really focused on now is getting doses to the patients that need doses around the world.
Unlike other vaccines, Pfizer's vaccine must always be kept in low temperatures, making it less practical in poorer countries. Pfizer has pledged around 40 million doses to COVAX, an organization dedicated to providing vaccines to poor countries. Colin Fredrickson, NTD News.
But it's bad news for drug maker Johnson & Johnson. Denmark is removing the single-dose Johnson & Johnson shot from its vaccination program. The country wants to investigate reports of rare but potentially dangerous blood clots. Denmark has already taken the AstraZeneca shot out of its program for the same reason. Both the J&J and the AstraZeneca shots are made with similar technology. The Danish Health Authority said the benefits of using J&J's vaccine don't outweigh the risk of adverse effects, even though the decision will delay Denmark's vaccination calendar by up to 4 weeks. The J&J vaccine hadn't even been tried in Denmark, but there were plans to administer it. And top oil producer Saudi Aramco beat analysts' forecasts today with a 30% rise in first quarter net profit, helped of course by those strong oil prices this year. Kira Lee reports.
Stronger oil prices helped Saudi Aramco post a 30% rise in first quarter profit. The state-run oil giant also maintained its dividend payout. Earnings for energy companies have climbed recently on the back of rising crude prices, which are up by about a third this year. Net income rose to $21.7 billion for the quarter as fuel demand recovers from the global health crisis. That was up from $16.7 billion a year earlier and beating forecasts. Saudi Aramco, which listed in 2019, said earnings were boosted by stronger crude prices and higher refining margins, helping to offset lower production. The OPEC Plus group had cut output to support prices, but agreed on a plan in April to start gradually easing those curbs from May. Aramco reduced its output as part of that pact. It says global demand for petroleum products is recovering from its lows in 2020, but remains below pre-crisis levels.
And JPMorgan Chase says working from home doesn't work for everyone. CEO Jamie Dimon saying employees need to come back to the office at least a few days a week, starting May 17th. He says remote work especially doesn't work for young people and anyone who wants to hustle. It's also harmful for culture and generating ideas, he says. CNBC reports that Dimon said that a trip to California recently for in-person meetings left him brimming with ideas. He also said that he lost business to rivals because they were willing to go out for in-person meetings. And home improvement giant Lowe is planning to hire more than 50,000 employees as National Hiring Day is on today. The event takes place at stores nationwide until 7 p.m. Candidates can interview and put in applications right there and might even get an offer on the spot. The company is looking for seasonal, part-time and full-time workers, and it comes as summer nears, the busiest season for home improvement projects. And this spring, new graduates will be vying for their first job out of college. NTD's Phil Zoe looks at the hottest careers for entry-level remote jobs.
Some new graduates who want to work remotely are finding it difficult to land a job.
And it was really tough because there's a lot of jobs out there, but there's also a lot of people applying, so it's hard to kind of make yourself stand out.
But job search website FlexJobs says opportunities are out there, even for remote working.
It is more possible than ever to get a remote job. The shift that we've seen over the last year has really changed how often and available remote work will be going forward.
Entry-level remote jobs are growing in industries like human resources, sales, and call centers.
Don't get disheartened and get out there and find those remote jobs because they definitely exist more now than ever.
After surveying 400 workers, FlexJobs says at least 1 in 3 have learned a new professional skill during the pandemic.
And I learned a lot more things about this job.
Just find a niche, find something you're really good at instead of just applying to like 100 jobs and who knows what they are.
Besides teamwork, working independently is also important.
Your ability to focus, your self-management and self-direction skills, staying on task when nobody is looking over your shoulder.
Besides salary and pay, workers had different priorities.
The most important is benefits.
I really look for the quality of life and the sense of community. I don't want to go to work feeling like I'm alone. I want to be treated well,
Accounting, medical, computer, and IT also made it to the list for offering remote entry-level jobs. Phil Zoe, NTD News, New York.
And the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says the Federal Reserve may have to raise interest rates to prevent the economy from overheating. That's if President Biden's multiple spending bills are implemented. Here's what she said today at an event hosted by The Atlantic magazine.
It may be that interest rates will have to rise somewhat to make sure that our economy doesn't overheat, even though the additional spending is relatively small relative to the size of the economy. So it could cause...
Yellen made the comment as Biden keeps pushing his multi-trillion-dollar spending plans. 2 recent proposals combined would be worth about $4 trillion. To fund programs from infrastructure and green energy to childcare and education. But there are signs prices are picking up. Consumer prices, according to the CPI in March, were up 2.6% from a year ago, the fastest pace since August 2018. On Wall Street, maybe after Janet Yellen's comments, tech stocks sold off big today, pulling the Nasdaq much lower. The Dow rose 20 points, 0.06%. S&P 500 lost 28 points, or 2/3%, but the Nasdaq dropped 262 points, or 1.88%. Major tech companies like Microsoft, Alphabet, Apple, Amazon, Facebook all dropping. CVS, though, gained after reporting a first quarter profit above estimates. It's also raised its 2021 forecast. T-Mobile also rising after in-hours trading, reporting Q1 results after the bell. It added more monthly bill-paying subscribers than it had expected. The Environmental Protection Agency on Monday proposed a rule curbing the use of a chemical gas. It's the dominant refrigerant currently used in U.S. air conditioners. So what does this mean for your cooling your house? NTD's Lin reports.
The new rule would cut production and importation of hydrofluorocarbons in the U.S. by 85% over the next 15 years. This is the Biden administration's first major step to reduce planet-warming emissions. Hydrofluorocarbons, also known as HFCs, can stay in the atmosphere for 250 years. Scientists say they are more powerful than carbon dioxide at warming the Earth. Currently, HFCs are widely used in air conditioners and refrigerators. This new regulation is set to take effect in 2022.
We don't anticipate any, increase in prices for equipment when the new refrigerants are being used. If it is, it will be minimal.
Consumers don't have to do anything with the equipment they have now. If your air conditioner needs repair, Dietz says the standard refrigerants will still be available.
You will not have to replace your system prematurely. Only if your system fails and needs to be replaced will it have to be replaced with the new equipment using the new refrigerants. So don't let anyone tell you that you have to replace your system because there are new refrigerants, because that is not true. And I want to make sure people understand that.
The EPA's proposal also includes some potential exemptions, such as military applications. The agency plans to finalize the rule later this year. Lin, NTD News.
New York State lawmakers have voted to extend the state's eviction moratorium until the end of August. The original ban expired at the beginning of May. Governor Andrew Cuomo still needs to sign it to make it official, but State Senator Brian Kavanaugh says access to a safe living situation is a priority. But he also said the state needs to get financial assistance to tenants, landlords, homeowners, and small businesses. Landlord advocacy groups criticize the decision. They argue that the state needs to focus more on the $2.4 billion rent relief program. That program would help struggling tenants, but hasn't launched yet. Tenant groups were happier, but had similar criticism. The president of the rent stabilization program said eviction protection programs were already in place and that the current move was political theater. But hey, at least you can drink inside New York's bars again. New Yorkers are celebrating the return of indoor bar dining. It was off limits for over a year. NTD's Evelyn Lee has the story.
New York allows bar seating again, and New Yorkers are in good spirits.
It's feeling good.
Bar seating was off limits for more than a year because of the pandemic. And then Governor Andrew Cuomo announced the end of restaurant service curfews along with the return of bar seating. Now New York's oldest bar even introduced bar stools for the first time in its history.
In 167 years, we've never served a person seated at the bar. We've always had everyone standing, belly up to the bar, as we say.
Monday was the first day in months that people were allowed to have drinks at the bar again, and guests couldn't wait.
So it is kind of early, but we had to come.
Sherry Racinas is visiting and made it just in time for the reopening.
Definitely awesome. We're actually here from Miami, and it's the first place we wanted to come to. He was saying it's the oldest bar, so...
Owners of restaurants and bars had been trying to get the state to ease restrictions.
It's been tough. As every other restaurant in the city knows, it's been really difficult. But we've got by.
But he says New York is strong.
Coming out, I remember in the depths of winter when indoor dining was closed, we didn't close for it. We still said serving. We put heaters outside, but they were, they only work so much in the winter. And customers came in and they sat down and they were here for hours on end, They bared the cold with us, so...
The CDC says more than 147 million people in the U.S. have received at least one vaccine dose as of Monday. And New York is expected to fully reopen in July. Evelyn Lee, NTD News.
And French news agency AFP is reporting that the EU is putting a hold on finalizing its massive investment deal with China. The EU Trade Commissioner apparently says because of the recent tension, the current political environment is not conducive to ratifying an agreement. Last month, the EU sanctioned several Chinese communist officials over human rights abuses in Western Xinjiang. was the first significant EU sanctions against Chinese officials since 1989. The Chinese regime hit back by blacklisting some EU lawmakers and entities. A spokesperson for the commissioner says the deal's future depends on how the situation develops. And a new report shows that Chinese banks are linked to deforestation globally. Some say Chinese leader Xi Jinping's recent pledge to protect the environment is just an empty promise. NTD's Patrick Hayden takes a look.
Chinese banks are being accused of funding deforestation around the world. A new study from Forest and Finance says Chinese banks provided $15 billion between 2016 and 2020 to industries involved in deforestation. That's in Asia, Brazil and Africa. China was second only to Brazil, but Brazil's funding mostly stayed within the country, unlike China's. So when Xi Jinping joined President Biden's climate change conference in April and pledged to strictly limit coal consumption in the next 5 years, it was understandably greeted with skepticism. US lawmakers also point out that China is funding fossil fuel initiatives globally. The head of Forest and Finance, Tom Pickens, says, "The world's big economies talk big on climate change, yet continue to turn a blind eye to their own banks funding tropical deforestation." He also said even if banks are found to be knowingly funding illegal deforestation overseas, there are few ramifications. Patrick Hayden, NTD News.
And the Chinese regime bans or restricts foreign investors from taking stakes in its critical infrastructure or high-tech industries. But it's investing heavily in the UK's critical infrastructure. NTD's Trevor Piper reports.
According to an investigation by the Times newspaper, Chinese and Hong Kong investors have quietly brought up UK assets worth £134 billion, from Britain's critical infrastructures, blue-chip companies to healthcare, schools and technology. The investigation finds at least £44 billion of purchases were from Chinese state-owned entities, with huge investments going into the energy sector. Chinese state-owned China General Nuclear has a 33.5% stake in Hinkley Point C power station in Somerset. This company also plans to join France's EDF to take a 20% stake at Sizewell C in Suffolk and intends to take a majority stake at a third UK nuclear power plant at Bradwell in Essex. China's sovereign wealth fund, China Investment Corporation, has a 49% stake at Neptune Energy. This state-controlled fund also has a 10.5% stake at Cadent Gas, the UK's biggest gas distribution company, and a 10% stake at Heathrow Airport. According to research firm Argus Vickers, Chinese and Hong Kong companies or private investors have shares that value nearly £57 billion in FTSE 100 companies, with nearly half of HSBC owned by Chinese investors in shares worth more than £42 billion. Some Chinese investors are also betting on science. For example, Chinese tech giant Tencent invests in Oxford Nanopore, a gene sequencing company, and an investment service company owned by a state-owned China construction bank invests in Immunocore, an Oxfordshire-based cancer specialist company. The former Conservative Party leader Ian Duncan Smith tells The Times, China poses the single greatest strategic threat to the UK and the free world. He says the investigation shows that the UK is dangerously sailing towards Chinese control of key aspects of its business.
Still to come, the largest jewellery maker in the world says it will stop selling diamonds from mines. So where does it plan to get them? And a popular tourist destination that suffered huge losses from the pandemic is now hopeful about the future. That and more after this short break.
In uncertain times, people rush to buy physical gold and silver. It's strong, solid, dependable. Now is the time to buy from the trusted source, Westminster Mint. With 20 years experience, an A+ BBB rating, and our unconditional 30-day money-back guarantee, Westminster Mint is America's dealer. The best value in gold coins today is this newly released 2021 $50 American Gold Eagle coin, certified a perfect 70 by the world's largest grading service, NGC. At 1 full ounce of pure gold, this 2021 Gold Eagle is the biggest and most beautiful coin struck for circulation. Get yours now while you can at our exclusive low price. Call right now and get the Gold Eagle's perfect companion, the 2021 Silver Eagle, absolutely free with your purchase. With free shipping and a 30-day money-back guarantee, Westminster Mint is America's dealer. Hurry for your early release 2021 American Gold Eagle and free Silver Eagle before they're gone. Call now.
The world's largest jewelry maker, Pandora, says it will stop selling mined diamonds and focus more on affordable, lab-grown gems. Pandora says it wants to transform the market with affordable, sustainably created products. Their gems will be grown in a lab in Britain. The diamonds are created by heating a hydrocarbon gas mixture. Carbon atoms then in the gas then settle on a seed diamond which grows layer by layer. Lab-grown diamonds are now up to 10 times cheaper than mined ones, according to Bain Company. The UK is the first country where the new lab-grown diamonds will be sold. And so, you like the cherry red paint job on your new car, do you? Well, your wallet might beg to differ, as far as the future resale value goes at least. A new study by auto research website IC Cars says your car's color can have a significant effect on depreciation. The highest depreciating color costs you more than twice as much in lost value compared to the lowest depreciating color. The study compared prices of more than 6 million new and used cars over a 3-year period. It found that gold was the worst out of the 13 different colors in terms of its effect on a car's resale value. Next was brown, purple, black, and white to round out the bottom 5. And the least depreciating color was yellow, which is a 20.4% depreciation over 3 years. Got to get a yellow car. And Italy's glamorous tourist destination, the island of Capri, has always been blue because of the water surrounding it. But now it's hoping to shake off the pandemic blues after a year of on and off closures that have depressed the Italian economy. Olivia Chan reports.
Has been rowing tourists around the famed Blue Grotto on the island of Capri for 33 years, just like his father did before him. 2020 was the first time he saw the Mediterranean island empty.
Yes, we've been able to enjoy the island ourselves, because usually for us Caprese, it's very difficult to enjoy this island. With the pandemic, one could go for walks. Look at the grotto without boats. It's beautiful. But how can I say it? It doesn't work.
According to official data, Capri's visitor numbers plunged by about 70% compared to 2019, before the global health crisis hit. Now the tourist destination, made famous by superstars such as Audrey Hepburn and Sophia Loren, is slowly reopening, hoping to shake off the blues after a year of on and off closures. Optimism bubbles among luxury fashion shops and top-tier accommodation, like the 5-star Punta Tragara Hotel.
I can sense a positive spirit, a spirit of recovery. So for the upcoming month of May, when more or less all of the island's businesses will reopen, this gives me hope, and maybe this anxiety will not be part of our baggage anymore.
The European Union has said American visitors, a traditional mainstay for Capri's tourist season, can travel to member countries this year if they have been vaccinated. For Federico, the global health crisis has left its mark, and the island is ready to recover from it as fast as possible.
That's the latest business updates for today. You can still catch NTD Evening News with Stephanie Cox. That starts at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
We have a new channel. Subscribe to us on YouTube at NTD News. Get the highlights of our news broadcast and the most important headlines that we curate especially for you.
Don't miss out on important news. Our videos are being deleted. So if you don't want to be cut off from honest news, take a moment to sign up for our newsletter at newsletter.ntd.com so you don't lose access to NTD. Go to newsletter.ntd.com to sign up for our evening newsletter.